Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's IxDF Kerala meetup sponsored by Experion Technologies. Let's start with something simple. Think of any feature, AI feature you've used recently, whether it's auto completing something, or an agent, a chatbot, or even an app that recommends what to watch next. Sometimes it feels like it just gets you. Other times it completely misses what you meant. That difference comes down to something called as a mental model. And it is basically the picture in our head of how something is supposed to work. So when an AI feature matches that picture, it feels smooth and natural. When it doesn't, we get confused or we stop trusting it. So today we look at how observation, user experience, and a simple framework can help us figure out what that picture looks like, especially for our users, so that the AI features we build actually make sense to people. To take us through this, we have someone many of you already know well. Most of you will recognize Yuvashri Ramesh as our regular IXDF host. Today, she's on the other side leading the session instead of hosting it. We're really very happy to have her here. She's a user experience designer who's spent years learning to notice the small things, like the pause before someone clicks, the confused scroll, the moment something just doesn't feel right. That same instinct of hers spills into her free time too. She loves getting lost in art museums or exhibits, sci-fi movies, or even story-driven video games. All different worlds, but the same thing pulling her in, which is noticing what makes an experience actually work. So she will walk us through how paying attention to everyday user behavior can uncover real opportunities for AI products. All right, so over to you, Yoshri.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you so much. Hi everyone. I'm Yashri Ramesh. I'm so excited to lead today's session on uncovering mental models for AI features. And thank you all so much for being here. I promise to make it well worth your time. Before we jump into the core topic, let me share a little bit about myself. So, you could see my hobbies here. It all seem a bit all over the place. Whether I'm meeting new people while traveling, or trying to stay one step ahead of a thriller that I'm watching, or just trying to read my cat's mind. I absolutely love piecing together cues to see the bigger picture always. And in fact, the drive to figure things out, right? It's actually how we find inspiration to create ideas. In fact, that's the mindset of an archaeologist. You see, when an archaeologist excavates these scattered artifacts, they don't just look at them in isolations. They absorb every detail and put the pieces together and synthesize them to construct a completely new understanding. So that's exactly our plan today. We are going to dig past the interface to see how our users actually think. By putting these clues together, we will find the real useful feature that lies somewhere between the magic and the hype. So, before we get started, this is the one important question, right? How an AI feature is different from a standard feature. You see, if you guys see, I have marked as one. Before that, the interface that I've loaded, it's the air table. You could see a grid, an amazing grid that we all have designed for us for in many SaaS platforms, right? So you could see the filters are used in two ways. The first one is the add condition that you have seen, that you're seeing. I have marked this as one. So here the user has to do the heavy lifting. Like they have to know exactly what rules to build to get their answer. It's quite like rule based. The developer has already set the map for them, and it does nothing else than just executing what the developer has set. Now the second feature, you could see describe what you want. Even that's like a filter, but it's an AI feature. If you just ask for what you want, you don't need to know the rules. The system does the heavy lifting by looking at the data and figure out the best answer on its own. That's the core difference in a nutshell. Now, before we dig for better AI features, we have to be really honest about the moment we are standing in. That is Despite all the noise, the hype, and the billions of dollars being spent, only 12 out of 100 companies report AI gains in both cost savings and revenue growth. The other 88 haven't, they haven't even turned it into real money on both those two sides that I've just mentioned. Because of that huge failure rate we just looked at, we end up dealing with these two extremes. First, it is the overpromiser. They treat every new AI tool like a priceless discovery, slapping it into every screen. But under real scrutiny, those claims just fall apart. Now let's get to the second one, the dismisser. They look at the current landscape and convince that there's nothing of value to find until someone else discovers exactly what the user needed then. Now, I want you to draw your attention to the center of this slide. The honest judgment lives here. As designers, this is our mandate. We cannot put a feature on a pedestal just because it's fashionable, or we can't leave it in the dirt just because we are just skeptical. We have to do the heavy lifting of evaluating what we have actually uncovered and judging each feature by its own merit. So, earlier I mentioned about the mindset of an archaeologist, right? So let's take those scattered pieces and synthesize them to build a better understanding in this case study. Breaking a quarter, your habit. Let's make this concrete with a headache everyone in this room has right now, filing your ITR since it's July. Imagine you type this exact search. Which ITR form do I use if I'm salaried or I'm a freelancer, so on. Hold that question in your head. We are going to follow it through next few slides. 10 years back, you hit enter on that highly specific tax question. What happens then? You scan the first 10 links, you open the official income tax portal in one tab, a financial blog in the second one, and a Redditor in the third. Now, the burden is entirely on you to cross reference each of those tabs. The official site probably say one thing, and the blog could have outdated content, and you have to mentally synthesize all this just to decide which ITR form you need. Is it one, two, or three? Now, carefully look at the carousel I have put on the right side. It's from 1998 to 2023. Google has added numerous features like ads, personalization, sidebar, and the amazing knowledge graph. But through the 25 years of redesign, the one contract never changed. The engine ranked and you synthesized. In fact, for 25 years, this was the accepted mental model. The manual digging was their business model. You click those financial blocks to find your pieces, the puzzle pieces, and they made money showing you banner ads while you search for your piece. And here is what our exact ITR search looks like today in 2026. Before we visit a single site, they have this AI overview. That is such an amazing feature. They just gives you the answer right there, as if the system is acting as our personal archaeologist doing all the digging for us. Notice, you guys, did you notice that everything below the direct answer just fades away? The official portal, the clear tags, the other forums, they're still there. We just stopped looking for them. So another question what we have is that why do we accept the AI generated answer for such high stakes tasks, right? Like tax filing. That isn't user laziness, it's pure effort economics. Herbert Simon defined this in 1950s as satisficing. The moment a response appears plausible, content, and complete, we stop searching. We just settle for the good enough answer, and that is immediately available to us. The precise ITR form tailored to your income bracket. No, we did not even have to go through the official portal. And in fact, when you guys check these official portals, like you have all this key information must be buried under numerous criteria structures or accordions. And there is a lot of tax jargons, right? Quite difficult for us to follow. So that is the reason why we take the path of least resistance. That is the AI overview feature that we just saw. In fact, this isn't a hunch, guys. We have the receipt here. The PEW research followed about 900 real people through 68,879 real Google searches. And this was done in March 2025. So, what they found is that without an AI summary, 15 out of 100 visits ended with a click on the result. But with an AI summary, it was just eight. It was just eight. Nearly half of that clicking just gone. Now, another interesting thing is that when we have that overview, and towards the right side, you will find those links and all the source links and all. And in fact, only 1% ever clicked on the source. And for our tax question, that means nobody fact checked the ITR form what the AI overview gave. So here, what we understand is that this is where the mental model flipped. The old loop required 5 steps, like you type, then you scan through the 10 links that's available on the front. Then you need to open multiple tabs, then you cross-reference and decide which one matches to your intent. Now that has changed. It's just one. You just type and evaluate the answer. The engine is doing the archaeology for us, like I've mentioned before, right? It assembles the whole picture and just delivers to you. But here is the wildest part, guys. The interface itself barely changed. Those 10 links, that appeared for so many years, right? That's still sitting where it was right there, but quietly disappeared the reason to click it. 25 years of muscle memory completely written in one product cycle. Now let's take a counter case, that is Amazon. Amazon made the exact same bet, placing it in the busiest spot on their platform, which is combining the AI prompt suggestion right inside the search bar. On first look, the flow seems seamless. One tap, there you go, the AI Rufus is appearing. It immediately answers. It's genuinely a valuable feature sitting at the prime real estate. But one study says that um, nobody actually clicks on these. We will dive deeper into it in few slides. But I just want to bring one thing right in the front. Same concept, but completely opposite outcome. So how does a feature with prime placement get absolutely zero clicks? Because invisible by design, the heading says, right? Now take a look at the screenshot that I put here. There are two UX flows happening here. First is pure camouflage. The UI treats the AI prompts exactly like the standard keyword history. Similar visual weight is given to both of them, even though they are slightly different. Right? And the next one is the real killer unscannable phrasing. Look at the top result, headphone wireless, it's bold, the keyword is front loaded, and your brain processes those in milliseconds. But look at the bottom. Which headphone brands offers the best sound quality? As we know, in a search bar, users don't read. They just hunt for what they are looking for. So that's the reason why it failed in the visual aspect. But there is also one deeper layer to it. This is a real blocker, man. The mental model clash. Look at the user code. It's rightly mentioned. Why would I ask the search bar for help? That's where you find products, right? So we have spent 25 years training users that a search bar in e-commerce is like a vending machine. You put in those short keywords and you get a grid of products. When Amazon triggered a chat window instead, they broke that deeply ingrained UX contract. But here is a fascinating part. If you open the chat today, you will notice that they have a major update. Like they have introduced the traditional cards in the chat window itself. I believe they would have noticed that they were breaking the user's mental model. So they try to patch it by using these familiar visual anchors back. Now, the biggest takeaway from this case study is that mental models change, but slowly. Amazon tried to force that same AI shift we saw in Google, but it fought the existing user habit. As designer, we have to remember that users adapt on their schedule, not on ours. But this study actually gave us a glimpse of the future too. One of the participants was 20 years old, and he felt that the prompts were shown in where he expected, just like the app that he uses mostly, which is Instagram. So the shift is inevitable, but it takes time. And that's why I have put this picture, this vintage photo of Amazon. In 1995, when nobody trusted the internet enough to shop on it, Amazon had to carefully and slowly teach us how it was done. They rewired our brain back then. Even if they miss the mark now, I'm pretty sure that they will use AI to completely reframe how we shop in the future. So that lands us on this solid ground. The fundamentals haven't moved an inch. Strip away the new tools, the job is the same one. It has always been. Help a person do something they genuinely needed to do. Over the next few slides, I'm going to break down exactly how we are executing on these three pillars. All right. In addition to that, just this is the extra layer that we need for building an AI feature, which brings us to the one slide I want you to remember always. This question, it's super important. Will AI make the user more likely to engage in this specific behavior that leads to the desired outcome and creates a positive business impact, right? Every word is load bearing: specific behavior, desired outcome, business impact. If a feature can't answer yes, it doesn't earn a place, no matter how impressive the demo is. Knowing this fundamental is one thing, but putting it into practice with this AI gate is another. Now, the next question is, where does AI genuinely help? Here, let me show you the menu, guys. Today, these are the 7 things AI is genuinely strong at: content creation, summarization, data analysis, perspective taking, information retrieval, image generation, pattern recognition. I say today because we all know this landscape is evolving day by day. The capabilities are constantly shifting, but notice the framing that I've put here. This is just a lens, not a universal answer. In fact, it's like a menu to order from, not a mandate to force every single capability into every problem. Next, we are going to take exactly one item of this constantly evolving menu and watch what happens when we apply real design discipline to it. So this is the case study. And in fact, this is the heart of the talk, activation cliff. So here we'll use one of your superpower to close this activation cliff gap, right? I believe everyone know this feeling. Think of the last time you couldn't get started. Maybe it was a blank doc or an empty canvas, or you just wanted to text someone. For me, it was literally when I sat down to draft this exact presentation. So the wanting is there, but the starting isn't. That's the universal gap between wanting to create and actually creating. In fact, this shows up anywhere when users have to begin from zero. The gap has a product term. Let's look into that. That is the activation cliff. That's the gap between intent and action, which has 4 phases. First is cognitive load, then there is decision paralysis, then there is blank canvas syndrome, and the next one, the ultimate enemy, perfectionism, fear of perfectionism. This is quite expensive because users who never cross these churn before they ever feel your product's core value. Now let's watch how one company closed this activation cliff. Bumble. It's a platform where women sent the first message. Picture it. It's actually a great match, real mutual interest, but then they freeze. They would be thinking, what if I say the wrong thing? Should I be funny or casual or serious? Lot of thoughts in her head. Roughly 45% of the matches never become a single message. That's not an UX inconvenience, that's actually activation friction with a dollar value. Let's see how Bumble has solved this activation cliff. So they use this icebreaker. If you see on the right side, it goes through 4 beats of the UI. But I want you guys to take the archaeologist lens now. Step one is the freeze. The user is staring at the blank screen, like standing over there like a massive excavation site. They know there is a great conversation buried in it somewhere, but they have no idea where to get started. Then comes the tab. You see those opt-in pills at the bottom, the flash yellow thing, right? They just look at it and they might feel like, okay, let's see what we can piece together from it. That's what's they're going through there in their mind. And the step three, the gift. It absorbs the scattered artifacts of Jenny's profile that you see over there, based on her location, her hobbies, and puts the puzzle together and hands the user a fully synthesized icebreaker through questions. And crucially, when they send, the AI gives a synthesized discovery, and it's not like fully automated. They get to decide if they want to edit it or just delete it and get started with a new one. Same match, same composer. Looks what has changed. On the left, creating from zero, where the user is going through high anxiety, low confidence, and an expiring match. On the right, one tailored question, and the job flips from inventing something brilliant to, to just sticking to that's already decent, which in fact restores the confidence. That's the flip this whole act turns on. From create, become refine. You don't have to be brilliant on a blank page. You just have to be a really good editor. This is not just cute framing, it's actually measured psychology. It all comes down to the cognitive load principle. Editing is always psychologically easier than generating from blank slate. By shifting the user's task from create to edit, we see four massive payoffs. The writer's block, that's disappeared. The decision making, you see, that has speeded up. And the quality of the outcome, that's a major part. It just rises because AI plus human intuition is always better than either one. Now, the ultimate bottom line, we actually take action. Users actually take actions. This is exactly why the icebreaker isn't a clever UI trick, it's a massive business engine. When an AI cures that blank page anxiety, you could see the first metrics 25% more people actually send a first message because they get into this conversation faster. Then they see the app's core value more frequently, which in turn increases the paid conversion rate to up about 20%. And those early meaningful chats also keep users from leaving. It just make them in the loop, giving us another 20% bump in retention and another 50% lift in the revenue per user. It all adds up to one massive payoff. By simply fixing the blank page, we effectively double the lifetime value of every new users. Let's see what works versus what fails. If we run the Bumble icebreaker through this rubric, it passes perfectly. So in the question, once I click on that pill, right, these questions get loaded. In that same, if we increase the number of questions, no, that causes decision paralysis. That is why Bumble just gives you 1 to 3 strong options. More, the more people get confused. So instead of a very generic hi, it just pulls some specific profile data so the draft is immediately usable. And another key thing is that it's never auto sent. It drops the text into the composer and lets user decide to edit or drop it. As you can see here, another core thing is trust. Trust is all about being transparent. If Bumble forced this feature and it auto sent those messages, the trust would just crumble. They succeeded by preserving the control. You see, the AI does the excavation, but the user holded the trouble. They edited, they approved, and ultimately they sent. And now look at the exact same mechanism applied to a completely different domain. Take the help me draft in Google Draft. You must have seen that at the bottom of the Google Docs, this really cute blue icon. It just turns a single line prompt into 3 page in seconds. That is like, the first draft in 30 seconds, replacing hours of writer's block. Now, once you see the shape, you can't really unsee it. It's everywhere. Slack's Help Me Write, Gmail Smart Compose, Notion's AI feature, Figma's first draft, the Claude's artifacts. Different surfaces, same move. Collapse the blank start into an editable draft. And the adaption number shows that these aren't even niche these days. These are the mainstream. Now let's get to this. 6 question scorecard tells you exactly where to dig. Start with the bottlenecks, guys. Where are users struggling to build from zero? Look for these things and test with the tools. Can AI hand them a safe first draft? The main aim should be like, shift the work from reinventing to editing. Then the most important thing, weigh the treasure. What is the business cost of them dropping off versus the value of unlocking more activations? When all these answers align, light up the green, you have found your next feature to build. So, so everything so far, the fundamental, we talked about the fundamentals, the decision question, the different superpowers, and we ran through two case studies, but just one. I think I have drafted with so many examples. Now let's take all that and turn it into a repeatable process. The very first question is where, okay, the very first wrong question is where can we add AI? So let me show the right process. You could see it over there. The first thing is to name the behavior like how we have done it here, like how Bumble has done it. No, they just figured out that the first message is the trigger point. So try to name that behavior. Then find the barrier. In Bumble's case, that was this blank page curse. Then ask the very important gate question. Will AI help the user behavior that leads to a really great business outcome? If yes, build it. If maybe or no, just walk away. Another key player who has bridged the gap is Duolingo. They actually removed the fear of embarrassment, right, when we are learning new language. And Bumble too has removed the blank page anxiety for us. So now the next move is, there's a lot of there are a lot of superpower, but you just need to pick one superpower and narrow it down to one job. Because in this case, the Bumble's use case, right, the whole domain of dating app is incredibly complex because it's human connection involved. Bumble initially introduced AI by focusing on a single high friction task, that is generating a great opening line. They deliberately avoided trying to automate the entire dating experience right away. But the upcoming V AI assistant, I just read it a few weeks back, that could be an ultimate example of what breadth earned later looks like in practice. Because Bumble successfully established the user trust with small, narrow AI tool like the icebreaker, profile guidance, and so on. Now they are in a good position to tackle the entire domain of matchmaking. But right? The trust is the trade, and it is earned incredibly. So you could see on day one, the user has to explore the AI feature. They need to figure out the real value involved. Only then they would give attention. Then the next phase is, they will think about money only if they feel like the AI is continuously giving them real output, real valuable outputs. Then ultimately gets you to the decision that matters, that is like giving you the whole automated automation, right? That is only granted, once they get to use it, get accustomed to the feature. And it's a long way, but we all need to aim we all need to aim the North Star. Now, if you think this discipline is just for small teams, this is what Anthropy builds, for building that incredible cloud. So before they build, they document their assumption because using something called constitutional AI. They literally write down a strict constitution of rule for how the AI must behave, and then publish it so that it's out for open. So it could be wrong. They could refine it. While they build, they validate the data. Rigorous testing is happening there. They have this thing called red teaming. They don't just ship the model, they pay human experts to spend months trying to hack it and break their riskiest assumption before it ever reaches the public. One thing that is noted is that with AI feature, everything is new. We cannot there is no inspiration for us to just stand with. Since it is a new area, we just need to, think about the riskiest assumption and test it vigorously to check if it works. But after they launch, they measure the result by publishing massive technical papers. They don't just, they are not safe gatekeeping or safeguarding. The belief goes in and the evidence comes out. Right. So with that, we have come to the end of the session. The 5 things to take home. Mental models change, but slowly. So try to dig before you build, and do ask the gate question that I've shown before. And always scope it to one superpower first, then scale it. And trust is the feature itself, and always back it with evidence. Yes. Thank you.